Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother in Al-Islam and your brother in humanity, Brother Charles Shabazz. Excuse me, I'm in the car because I'm charging my phone. So excuse me if it's a little dark in here. You should be able to see me still. So the subject I'm presenting tonight is the concept of the use of pronouns of we, us, and our, or plural pronouns, and also the pronoun of he, referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Al-Qur'an. And why is that? That is the subject here. And many non-Muslims, and probably some Muslims too, do wonder as to why, if there's only one God, if Allah is only one, there's only one, is only Ahad, why is Allah referred to in a plural context, a plural sense? So I'll tackle that, inshallah. So you will read throughout the Quran where Allah sometimes will say, will use a plural pronoun referring to Allah. Now, most people only have a one-dimensional understanding of what plural is. Most people only understand plural to be more than one or different multiples of things. But there's also another definition of plural. There's a plural in a sense of royalty, formality, and respect. I'll give you an example. When the king or the queen is addressing the people, they would say, we the king or we the queen. That doesn't mean that there are multiple men who make up being the king or multiple women who make up being the queen. It is the king himself or the queen herself. It's just that one individual. So that's plural in terms of formality and not plural in numbers. Also, another example in terms of plural of formality or plural respect is you have some people that have small businesses where the owner themselves are the only employees there. And so pretty much they're the only ones from the company that's doing all the work. So while, they may be talking to their family, their loved ones, or their friends, and they say, well, I do this, I do that, or I provide this, I provide that. But when they are representing themselves as a company, as a business, when they're communicating with clientele or different companies, they cannot say I or me. They have to use a plural pronoun. They have to use we, us, and our, even though it is quite clear and known it's just them and then only that individual, that person. And also a few years ago, and I work in the software development industry, I used to work for a company where I was the first QA person in the company. And so for going on 2 years, I was the only software QA personnel. And so even though it was just me and me only in the QA department, when I'm representing my department, I cannot use first person pronoun. I have to use a plural pronoun, though it's just me and me only. So that's an example of plural in terms of plural of formality. And also, let's go to he. Sometimes when one reads Qur'an, Allah will use he in a third party sense. Um, so sometimes, um, sometimes individuals, when they're talking about themselves, they sometimes will refer to themselves in a third party sense. One of my favorite movies of all time is the Karate Kid, or the multiple Karate Kid series. And one of my favorite characters in the movie is Mr. Miyagi, played by Pat Morita. And you would watch in these movies how Pat Morita's character, Mr. Miyagi, a lot of times he would talk about himself in a third party context. He would say, Miyagi says this, Miyagi does that. Father taught Miyagi this, and this is Tom. And Mr. Miyagi was actually talking about himself, but he was talking about himself in a third party context. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also describing himself in a third party context. Now, another thing with the pronoun of he, why is it he's using a he? Why not a she? Does this mean that Allah is a man? And of course not. Another reason is that he is just simply used as a default. This is just a default pronoun. Because it's offensive to refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an it, right? That's like not good, not very disrespectful. So as a default is used as a he. That does not necessarily mean that Allah is a male, just as Allah is not a female. Allah is gender neutral, but Allah. So the use of he is used as a default, and also Allah is referring to himself in a third party context. And also going back to the plural context, going back to that. So when Allah, remember, when Allah says we, it's not talking about multiple gods or multiple individuals making up that one God. It's talking about that one God, that one being. Allah says multiple times in the Quran, there is none worthy of worship except Allah. And also, because you would also read throughout the Quran where he does talk about himself in first person context, where he would say I and me, I, right? So he would use that throughout the Quran as well. So that way you would not be confused as to whether there are multiple gods, because Allah clearly tells you there is not more than one. There's only one being, one supreme being. There's no partner. And to say that there's more than one person, even if you say there's different or multiple persons to make up one God, that is still shirk. That is still polytheism. And this is the only sin in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forgive. For you to believe in more than one God and to die believing in that is a trip to Jahannam, or to the hellfire. I hope that corrects the confusion that some of you may have. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you like this particular video, give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, and peace to everyone else.